Hello everyone. Let's get down to it. We have a full moon in Sagittarius, mutable fire sign, second fire sign in the zodiac, and the third fire sign, the last fire sign. And so we are, with fire, we're transforming. We're coming to perhaps a culmination in your transformation. We're transforming from student to teacher. We're transforming from amateur to professional. We're transforming from, scattered to focused, perhaps. Because Sagittarius has a tendency to aim true at their goal when they are fixed on their goal and focused on their goal, but sometimes they can be so all over the place because they're so erratic. Can be so erratic. Let's not put anybody into a box here. But fire brings courage. Fire brings courage with the transformation, because transformations can be scary. Full moons bring illuminations always to something that we didn't see before. Maybe we are requiring a little extra courage to face those things. With Sagittarius, we can be dealing with facing our outdated belief systems. With a full moon in Sagittarius, we could have the courage now with this full moon, and with the abundance, no pun intended, of Jupiter placements and transits that we have aligning with this full moon, that are supporting us along this path as well. We don't just have a full moon or new moon when we have these videos. We have so much more going on than that. So let's look at it all. It's a very, very Jupiterian week. And we, have that courage now to put down those old belief systems and to realize that we've been clinging perhaps onto something that isn't the truth. Something that wasn't true. And the pursuit of truth can bring us into very uncomfortable positions where we realize things that we maybe perhaps didn't want to realize. We dig too deep down the rabbit hole and we find out something we can't unknow. Changes our lives forever. We have some key aspects that are occurring around and on this full moon. First one I want to point out is we have Jupiter moving into Gemini May 25th. The full moon occurs on May 23rd. That's Thursday. May 25th is going to be that Saturday. I am so stoked for this. However, Jupiter and Gemini, yes, Jupiter rules Sagittarius this full moon, right? So having this transit, having a big move of Jupiter moving into a new sign right around the full moon that is in the sign that it rules, Sagittarius, is a big deal. Two big deals right next to each other. But Jupiter, right? Jupiter rules Sagittarius. The opposite of Sagittarius is Gemini, which is ruled by Mercury. Mercury is the smallest planet in the solar system, and we have Jupiter, which is the biggest planet in the solar system. So they are really not that close of buddies. They don't really vibe in the same world. That's like, a giant living in a fairy world, or like a tiny people's world. It just doesn't work. It's not anything personal. It just doesn't work. And we have Mercury that, moves really, really fast. versus Jupiter that's so big that can't move that fast. So yes, they are, Jupiter is moving into Gemini, which is ruled by Mercury, on May 25th, so we might be wanting to do it all. Like, we might be so scattered in the Gemini way that is like, let's do this, let's do this, let's do this, let's do this. Want to do it all, because Jupiter is expansion, Jupiter is abundance, it is the whole spectrum, it expands whatever it touches. So with Gemini, we can get sometimes this oversharing, or like over exerting energy in a scattered way that isn't useful and helpful. And you know, Gemini is just in it for the long or the short haul, and just in it for the short term, whereas we're looking at Jupiter, which wants to go long term. It's expansion. It's long term. It's bigger than that. It wants bigger than that and more than that. It wants more than just a piece of the pie. It wants the whole pie. So let's look at Mars in Aries conjunct the North Node in Aries, which we had happen on the 21st, I believe. We also have Mars conjunct Chiron, which is going to happen on the 29th. So that's a little bit later next week. So Mars is doing some stuff. Mars is going and visiting these places to collect codes, to understand where it is that he needs to go next on his journey. And let's move on to the big whammies, which we have 3 planets at 29 degrees of their signs. Venus and Jupiter are 2 of them, which are still conjunct in Taurus at 29 degrees during this full moon. Venus being the planet of values and love and relationships. And of course, Jupiter, as we've been discussing, the planet of consciousness, faith. Okay? Have faith in your relationships. Have faith. Can you put your faith in your relationships? That's what it's testing right now. Consciousness, expansion, luck. People are saying that this is a lucky time right now. I'll take it. Let's go. It's lucky because of all this Jupiter. Sorry, there's some ducks over there, and for a second I could have sworn it looked like an otter, and I was like, no way. No, it's just some ducks. Ducks are cool too, though. Duck medicine, anybody? There's 2 of them. There's a male and a female. Anyways, those are the first 2 that are at 29, Venus and Jupiter. In Taurus, like I said, Earth sign Taurus, fixed Earth. Then we have Neptune at 29 degrees, Pisces, water sign, mutable water. Neptune is at 29 degrees of Pisces, which just happens to be the very last degree of the entire zodiac wheel. Neptune in Pisces. Let's see, I made a specific note here. Let me address my notes. Neptune at 29 degrees Pisces is dissolving old Pisces systems, right? Because we just had Pluto in Pisces for a long time. So we had Pisces themes, and we had the age of Pisces before. Now we have this age of Aquarius, right, that we're moving into. Neptune at 29 Pisces is dissolving old Pisces systems and shifting us and ushering us into the age of Aquarius. The fact that Neptune is in Pisces is bringing in this element of compassion, spirituality, oneness, and like, you know, the word dissolving is the only word you can use for Pisces. It dissolves the boundaries, it dissolves whatever it is into back into the source, back into what it is that we came from. So right, back to these more key transits. Those are 3 planets at 29 degrees. 29 degrees, if you don't already know, is the anaretic degree of a sign, aka all those themes of and qualities of the sign are specifically going to be illuminated and highlighted and spotlighted and louder than most of the time at 29 degrees. It's like that last final pack a punch, you know, like that last little burst of energy. And then so we have so a lot of conjunctions in Gemini and Taurus, right? So the 29 degrees of Taurus, and then Sedna at 0 degrees Gemini, and then we have the Sun at 2 degrees Gemini. The full moon happens at 2 degrees, so that's the moon, the Sun, Sedna, Venus, and Jupiter, all right there, conjunct each other in this lunation, in this full moon. And then we also have the moon trining Neptune in Pisces, right? So it's trining Neptune, which is a harmonious aspect. And we just talked about Neptune being that outer planet, so it's like working on the outside and working towards this bigger goal, which is dissolving us out of the old into the new age of Aquarius ways of being. Beautiful. Yeah, so Sagittarius, let's just talk about Sagittarius for a second, because it's the half man, half beast. It's the centaur. It is the, like I said, mutable fire. It's happening at 6:53 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, Thursday, May 23rd, 2024. 2 degrees of Sagittarius means that you're going to want to look in your chart and see where you have 2 degrees of Sagittarius. For me, I have a North Node at 3 degrees Sagittarius. That's cool. We are also having themes related to Sagittarius as in enlightenment, right? Sagittarius is the truth seeker, the adventurer, the teacher, the pastor, the hierophant. It talks about higher learning. It's in this pursuit of truth, which means it's ready to go to school and go long term, you know, like Jupiter long term schooling, and, you know, reap the long term benefits. Sagittarius wants diversity, it wants options, it wants versatility. It can be insatiable. Gemini and Sagittarius both at axis can be insatiable. Fire and air just kind of can be that way. It is nothing personal, guys. But, you know, every element has their downsides, and every element has their, you know, whatever it is, their vices that they have, and they sometimes can just be insatiable with that. Fire consumes everything in its path, right? And like, yeah, air is just everywhere. It's just like all encompassing, and like, yeah. Anyways, so we have so much going on here, guys. I'm really gonna try to keep this short. I know I've already probably gone a lot longer than I thought I would have kept it to. But I really want to get some of this stuff down and make sure I get you guys the important information. Sagittarius deals with integrity, right? Because it deals with truth. So we are being asked to come into integrity right now. We're being supported by all the Jupiter movement around expanding into greater integrity, and we're Also being asked to check ourselves around our toxic positivity, because Sagittarius is and Gemini both, actually, for sure, are related to toxic positivity, and that is something we have a lot of that, obviously, in our today's society. I'm just gonna go ahead and say it out right now. You know, call me your classic Scorpio who's ready to talk about the taboo stuff, but like, we just really have a problem with like denial in our society. So anyways, I'll leave it at that. Watch, speaking of this next thing I'm about to say, watch yourself being on your soapbox, being preachy, right? Sagittarius is the pastor and the teacher. Let's find that middle ground, right? Like let's find that middle way where we can share knowledge that we each hold for each other, because we each are all each other's teachers and students, and we can share the knowledge that we have for each other and count that as a beautiful gift. And instead of get so offended, I've been getting really offended lately, so this is a message from me to me, apparently. From the universe, from the stars, to the collective, to all of us who need to hear it. Yeah, telling the truth is a thankless job. So many great astrologers that I listen to gather my research for these videos. I want to shout out Molly, Moxie Molly Astrology. I want to shout out Rasalila Healing. I don't know if I really want him to know that I shouted him out. He's kind of scary. Anyways, so with Sagittarius, we are experimenting. We are allowed to mess up and have mess ups and mistakes, and we are allowed to now take action with fire, because we took rest during Taurus season and during all this Taurus energy. Mind you, we still have a lot in Taurus. Yeah. We were supposed to take rest in Taurus, and we were supposed to be patient, and we were supposed to prioritize pleasure, and we were supposed to have given ourselves a break and given ourselves, and Taurus can be workaholics too, it's still an earth sign, and it can still be one of the worst, because pleasure is a theme for Taurus. It can be either you are someone who accepts pleasure easily, or you have trouble accepting pleasure, and you are unable to feel pleasure, and you don't let yourself feel pleasure, and that can be so sad. We were supposed to have let ourselves rest, and now we're gonna feel this fire and maybe just be able to, what she put, my other astrologer Heather Ensworth says, we're walking the bridge. We have Sedna, as I think I mentioned in the beginning, or earlier, that Sedna is an asteroid that's right by the moon in conjunct this full moon, and Sedna is about letting go. Sedna is about transformation. Sedna is about realizing that you've been going back to somewhere that is outdated and old, and it doesn't work anymore, to find comfort, and it's not working now, and so you have to let go, and it's scary, and it's hurtful, because you've been betrayed. Right? In the story of Sedna, it's her father that that cuts her fingers off and throws her off the boat and into the ocean to drown. What a betrayal. And so what we are dealing with collectively is a betrayal from the people that we trusted to be our government systems. The people that we trusted to regulate our food and our medicine, regulate our safety, as in our who gets to hold a firearm and who gets to you know, like shoot a gun in a police uniform. I think the biggest theme for this full moon is freedom. And about realizing what freedoms we have, truly, that we have started to take for granted and started to let slip away. And perhaps we have to see what we're seeing happen across the globe in these violent times so that we can understand how privileged we are with our voices and with our freedoms and with our ability to share our thoughts, our ability to post videos and talk about things. I can talk about whatever I want right now on this phone, post it on YouTube. Talk about whatever I want. Well, you know, you gotta be careful and say what you. We, perhaps, maybe, need to let them not censor us anymore. We should be able to say whatever we want. And should be able to follow our own moral compass, right? I think Sagittarius deals with morality and truth, objective truth around what's right and what's wrong. The Sagittarius is also the healer. Make sure that I got everything that I needed to say to you guys. Personal and powerful change. Because we're getting new beliefs. Because Jupiter's involved. Jupiter rules this full moon. We should be feeling optimistic and energized, which is what Sagittarius typically shows up in. But like I said, we have some Taurus action going on here. We still have Uranus and Jupiter. Jupiter just moved into Gemini though, so we just had it moved from Taurus. And we did just have that conjunction in Taurus, and so that was big. We also just had these Aurora Borealis light codes coming through. We have huge solar storms coming through. We're tired, okay? Full moons are already tiring. And they have that meme where it's like 2 minutes after the full moon, I fall asleep. And I miss my ritual because I was too tired to stay up to the full moon. It's because the peak energy is a lot, okay? It's exhausting if you're sensitive enough to it and you are tuned in. By golly, if you know, you know on that one. I think people get this assumption that like the full moon is like really an active time, and I think people do have an active time, but I think the people who are more sensitive really maybe are like, whoa, let's take it down a notch. Let's just like sit with this energy and like, you know, be still with it, and like yeah, especially for the peak time, it's like just rest, just be, just let it come through. I understand creating this filter in which it comes through, you know, like this like lens in which it comes through into you with your rituals, you know. Sometimes full moon rituals just don't happen though, and that's okay, because it's a lot of energy, and we're going through it. We're going through big upgrades right now, big old upgrades. A lot of people are saying we're gonna start having those aurora borealis things happen more frequently, so that would be cool, because I didn't see it. Whatever, I didn't see it. It's whatever. It's not that cool. I'm just kidding. I'm so jealous. I'm so jealous. I drove like almost 2 hours outside of town to see it. One of the last nights, I think it was like Sunday night. That night, they said was the last night you could see it, and I didn't ever get to it. I guess I didn't drive far enough, but yeah, didn't get to see it. Anyways, let's see if there's anything else. Let's see. We're having a spiritual graduation, guys. We're getting rewards from Venus. We got a lot of planets moving towards Gemini right now, right? We just had the Jupiter moving into Gemini, or we're going to right after the full moon, and then we're going to have Venus moving into Gemini. Right now, for the full moon, we still have Venus in Taurus, and then we have Aries, or Mars in Aries. So in their home signs, in their favorite signs, they're so happy. Yeah, we're tired. We're going through a transformation. On top of that, we're getting all these light codes, and we're getting all these solar storms, and we are having Sedna, and we are having, oh, yeah, that's what it was. The last thing I did want to mention, and this was something that I just found out today and knew I needed to mention in my video from Heather Ensworth. She talks about how we have so many, 4, I believe, planets conjunct the Pleiades star system during this full moon as well. Pleiades are a star cluster of 7 stars that have been dated back to ancient times in caves and just, you know, ancient times and tribes, and has been a time-keeping system and a prominent part of what we have used to navigate throughout history as a human species. So, and it's always been portrayed, no matter what it ever was, as 7 female deities, goddesses, enlightened beings, humans that became enlightened and descended as stars. 7 sisters, the 7 sisters, if you've heard of them. So, and so what does that mean, this full moon? The truth about the full moon, right? Because Sagittarius' truth is that we are being called to look, and all these planets are pointing at these 7 sisters that have been revered throughout history and throughout humanity as healers and as important symbols and feminine symbols that we can look to and see that we are missing that part of our systems now. We do not have any sense of matriarchal balance. Yeah, so what I was going for there, I think I made my point. It's funny that I cut off right there perfectly. I didn't have to edit it at all. Was just that we're missing that part of our matriarchal needs being filled. We've been missing that for a long time, and we are working towards ushering in a new, like I said, with the Neptune in Pisces, we're ushering in a new way of being. With all the Jupiter, we're dropping old beliefs, we're allowing new beliefs to integrate, even though it's scary, even though it's risky, even though it's unknown. And we are integrating more feminine, matriarchal ways of being instead of the patriarchal, capitalistic, overly trying to prove themselves situation, society where it's just never enough. It's never enough. And you always have to prove yourself to earn everything. And you're just not entitled to a quality life by being who you are, and you have to earn it first in capitalism. So we are looking at that wound, we're seeing it, we're feeling the sting. We are looking at new possibilities. We're seeing changes in the banking systems. We're seeing changes in our voting systems, the way that we are voting. Some people don't even think voting is real or legit or matters. Some people are going to vote for a third party for the first time in their lives this year because we would have a third party candidate. It's just, it's really interesting that we're going to have Pluto going back into Capricorn in September until November 16th, right after election day for the presidency in 2024. And Capricorn and Pluto is representing the power structures. Pluto, power, in Capricorn, which is power over CEOs. Everything's got a price tag on it. Workaholics. Capricorn can be so cold and Saturnian because it's ruled by Saturn. Because time is so unforgiving and cold, and that's what we've had. And so we'll have that still just one last little time before it moves back into Pluto in Aquarius. I think it's November 16th, 17th, something like that. And I hope we don't have any. I hope we don't have any regrets about the decisions we made in that last little bit of Pluto and Capricorn, because we're gonna have to live with it for the next 4 years here in the States, and we need to remember that Pluto in Aquarius points to freedom. It points to rebellion. It points to liberation. It points to shaking up and breaking down structures that aren't built on solid foundations, right? Uranus is the ruler of Aquarius, Pluto in Aquarius. So we are gonna have to let the changes happen. We're gonna have to let go. We're going to have to step into the unknown. We're going to have to drop our old beliefs. We're going to have to recognize what's true and what isn't true. We're going to have to recognize how free we truly are. We're so free that we can even change our minds. We are so free that we can change our entire core belief system if we wanted to. I've done it before in my life. It's not easy. I'm not trying to say that it's easy. But I have in my lifetime had to completely surrender and allow for my old core belief system to deconstruct to the point where I just had nothing. It wasn't like I had something else to automatically replace it. It was like I just had a void there. And so in that void, then it was then just like filled by the next thing, which now is my, core belief system that I still have now today. In that moment, though, of nothingness, there was space for that to be filled. In that moment of letting go of the old, really truly letting go of the old. You may not like it. I'm not saying you'll like it. I'm not saying you will even do it willingly. Sedna didn't do it willingly. Sedna was betrayed. Yeah, and we've been betrayed. We've been betrayed, and we need to acknowledge that pain. We need to acknowledge it and do something about it to move forward and to move into a better, more healing, more loving world. So the Pleiades were also always throughout history known as timekeepers because they were working with the wheel of the year, the pagan wheel of the year. Maybe they weren't working with that exact thing, like they didn't have what we have today, where it's written down, maybe even they were working and shifting and celebrating according to what was happening in nature, what was happening in the shifts that they saw around them, in the crops that they planted, when they harvested, all of it. So that's why the Pleiades were also timekeepers, because they represented those women, those enlightened women and villagers that were responsible for keeping tracks of the cycles, right? Like acknowledging the cycles and like working with the cycles, really working with the cycles. So there's a quote from Carl Jung that Heather Ensworth mentioned in her video about this full moon that I had to share because it's just too good. When you're falling, dive. Can we accept that we are in the situation that we're in. Make the best out of it. Turn it into a dance. Turn it into a party. Sagittarius and Gemini love to party. Let's party. Let's celebrate life. You know, let's remember why we're alive. Sagittarius is passion for life. So passionate. That fire, those fire signs. And so even Gemini is the lovers, right? We got a romantic axis here. We are hopefully the Sabian symbol is pointing to allowing the universal abundance to flow through. That's what it says. What is it that you need to do to get yourself into a state of allowing the universal abundance to flow through? So in the Sedna myth, there's a point where she is betrayed by her father. And she gets her fingers cut off and she falls into the depths of the ocean. She has to let go. She starts to fall into the depths. She goes to the depths. She didn't really choose to go there, but she goes. There she's transformed. There her fingers are transformed into the creatures of the deep. And so with that, we see the moon is going to pass through the heart of the constellation Scorpius, through Antares. And we know that that's the moment where she lets go. Sedna is letting go, and she is releasing and going into the depths. So we can be aware of that, and we can know that there's going to be a deep transformation occurring. That's what Scorpio rules, is deep transformation. Long lasting, lifetime lasting change and transformation. So we're in a transformation right now. We are in it, and it's painful, right? Like, I think I've used this analogy of us being in the birth canal, birthing new earth, where the midwives were the mothers of new earth. We are giving birth to it. We're the midwives, and we are in labor, and you know, it's not the funnest experience, but it's a beautiful experience. Miracle experience. The miracle of life is so precious and wonderful. Miracle of a new world. Miracle of a new earth. We're all doing our own part. We're all in service somehow with our gifts and talents, hopefully using our gifts and talents. That's why we have them, so we can use them with each other, for ourselves. How can you make the rider more one with the horse, the beast rather? the beast inside of us, the primal urges. How can we become more in harmony with the horse that we're riding? How can rider and horse become more one? That's what this full moon is asking. How can we step closer to the truth? Where do we need to go to step closer to the truth? And what does it really mean for us to feel free? What is required for us to feel free? How about that? Those are some good questions to journal about if you want. All right, I'm gonna try and stop here. I don't know if I mentioned also, because I don't know what all got cut out of the video that it stopped. Venus will be invisible until the end of July in the sky. I don't know if that got into the video, so I want to make sure and mention that because I think it's important, because Venus is definitely still influencing a lot right now because of all the Taurus and other reasons. I just wanted to mention that about it being invisible. Okay. Thank you all so much. Have a great full moon. Satnam.